welcome to Catacris TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston. I got two of the members of the band Westbound, lead singer and frontman Chaz West, and we got guitarist Jimmy Buckyard. Now, Chaz, you're of course the frontman of the band, and I'm the Westbound. I'm assuming that's kind of based around your name. I kind of love that branding. You know,
that's correct.
Yeah, and so of course before Westbound, people may know you Chaz a little bit. You were in Bonham briefly. You played.
Well, it was more than briefly. We did 2 records and a lot of tours, a lot of world tours. It was 5 years.
Oh wow! Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So thanks for correcting me for that.
No worries.
Yeah, and then I know you played with Jason Bonham and the Jason Bonham Band. So and that's mostly like playing Led Zeppelin, right?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The Jason Bonham Band. We did 2 records, and we toured worldwide for about 5 years. So. I mean, the first record, yes, was all Zeppelin, and that was for a charity, and it was all the proceeds were donated to charity. Okay, it was the Jason Bonham Band, and the day of my father live at Electric Ladyland. It was called the Zepp Set. So that was a different thing. But then we did an original record after that too.
Wow, and obviously you're a Led Zeppelin fan. Everybody knows that. So what was that like playing with the son of Bonzo?
It was pretty mind blowing, you know. It was just like I'd wake up every morning and kind of have to slap myself going, was I just dreaming or is this for real? Am I really, going on tour, in the beginning, and signed a contract with the son of John Bonham, the deceased legend, the greatest rock drummer of all time. It was mind blowing. And then later on, meeting his uncles, Robert and Jimmy, right? And then, of course, all the friends that they had through that. Next thing I know, I'm hanging out with Rod Stewart and, people like that, Chris Squire. And it was, and it was like, wow. And inside, it was like, I'm a fanboy. I'm like, I got to be cool. Keep cool. Right.
And how did you get that gig? Was it a matter of was it an audition you had to go through, or did Jason reach out to you because he heard you play some of this stuff before?
No, actually, somebody got a hold of me, and then I got a hold of their manager, Phil Carson, and we talked, and I sent him, just like, I don't know, hundreds of others. I sent in a CD, with resume and picture and all that. And from what I understand, I beat out 700 and something singers. They narrowed it down.
Impressive, Chaz. Wow.
They narrowed it down to about 10 guys, and I was one of them. Wow. And I'd met Jason. We'd hung out, but that was, months prior, year prior. And we, it was just partying and just having fun. And he was a great guy. We got on really well. And then, the audition, it was just like the next day I got a call. It was either that night or the next day from the manager who I'd spoken with. And he said, Jason's over the moon about you. Here's your, we're faxing you your itinerary. And it was like overnight like that, overnight success that took 10 years or more, right?
Yeah. So. And Jimmy, as you were coming online today before we were getting started with the interview, you were sharing with me that you and Chaz had kind of hooked up, both being part of a, tribute band scene. Or you want to talk a little bit about that, how you guys first hooked up?
I was playing covers around town. Chaz has always been doing the Zeppelin stuff. And we hooked up. I'd seen him at the Whiskey in different clubs, and I was doing this little gig, and he came by and dug it, and we met there, and then we talked more and more and hooked up. He got me into the Moby Dicks, so there's more Zeppelin stuff, right? So we just kept going. We had that really good chemistry, that guitar player singer thing,
Yeah.
So it went from there.
Agreed. Yeah, it was actually a friend's birthday jam, our friend's birthday jam, like the first time we played together. Am I right, Jimmy? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like this little bar down in Venice Beach,
Mm-hmm.
That's what did it. And I was like, because in my head, I'd always have, after I got the deal and all that with Frontiers and so forth and so on, I was like, I want a guy that's kind of like a combination of Jimmy Page, Joe Perry, and Eddie Van Halen. And not only playing wise, but also, his overall image and aesthetics. And I saw this guy, and then I was like, wow, he's playing, and then talked to him. Like he said, we got on really well. The chemistry was great. And I said, would you want to do this? And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
So
now, in regards to the Moby Dicks, let me ask you, Chaz.
sure.
The Moby Dicks, of course, you're kind of a one constant, but correct me if I'm wrong. You've got guys like Robbie Crane, Brian Tishy, Greg Fox,
Right.
but it's kind of a revolving door. It's kind of whoever is available, right? Is that correct?
Well, for the most, yes and no. I mean, it's basically, Brian, I call him Tish. Tish and I, it's our thing, because we've kept it going. There's been guys in and out, but we've kept it going for 13 years now. So, but, there's a basic band, at least for the last year or so. I got Jimmy in for some of the stuff, and the Bonzo bashes that we did, but the first guitarist, Brent Woods, had to leave for a while. He plays with Sebastian Bach, some other people, but he's back now. But Jimmy, I pushed him right away. I was like, when Brent wasn't available, get him in there. And that's, so he's part of that. But yeah, it's basically Tish and I. Phil Susana is the main bassist, if you know who Phil Susana is. Okay. But every once in a while he's out with Last in Line or whatever. So Robbie Crane has been doing it. He just did the last gig. And we're all friends. We're all bros. We all know each other. We all travel in the same circles. And, so it's all in good fun.
That's cool too, because who's not a Led Zeppelin fan? I mean, it makes it easy if, Phil has a gig with Last in Line and you can bring Robbie or somebody in. And
correct.
It's pretty easy for them to learn.
There's been a bunch of guys. There's Michael Devin. I think it's been more bass players than anything else.
Yeah.
Right. Michael Devin, if he was in Whitesnake.
Tony Franklin.
What was that? Tony Franklin. James
Lomenzo.
Who plays with Megadeth now. Oh God, the other guy who plays with Jason now too, and his name slips me at the moment, but he plays with Jason's Led Zeppelin Evening now. He's on bass. He's great too. I mean, it was just the love of Zeppelin music and the love of, we all got on. It was bros and it was like, cool.
And I will say, in regards to the Moby Dicks, I went seen you guys a number of years ago. Great tribute. I don't know if you want to call it a tribute, but you guys are great at what you do. And I will say, I think doing it all these years, as long as you have, I think it's starting to pay off for a simple fact. Let's be honest, how many Led Zeppelin tributes must there be in the world right now? But I think, especially when you're talking about the Los Angeles area, Las Vegas area, two really stand out. I would say Led Zeppelin again, when they've been doing it for 30 years. And then you guys, and then there's a female one, Lady Zepp, that makes it different. But those are kind of the two that everybody are always talking about.
Sure, I know some of the guys in Led Zeppelin. Again, they're great guys. Sure. They've even come to see us. The last show we did at the Whiskey, a couple of guys came. The difference with us, it's an all-star Led Zeppelin tribute, if you would. And we're the world's only all-star Led Zeppelin tribute band.
Oh, sure, and even, I would say what separates you guys from Led Zeppelin again is they kind of are more what I like to call rock and roll theater. They actually dress up too, where
exactly, because we don't go for that. I'm not, the guitarist is not wearing a dragon suit.
Yeah, I never wanted to do that.
I just happen to be tall and blonde, okay? Yeah. But I'm not wearing platform shoes, and bell-bottom, jeans. So yeah, that's the difference. And some of it just happens to be natural, even with Jimmy. There you go.
And actually,
it's in the spirit of it.
I've had the chance to interview Swan Montgomery from Led Zeppelin again a couple of times.
Swan's a great guy. I've known Swan for years.
He was sharing with me that they actually were Jimmy Page's invited guest at that show in London when they did the reunion.
Yeah, wow. That was through my friend, actually, Chris Baranian. And they were hanging out. I know the whole story. They were hanging out in LA and they just went to the House of Blues to have a drink at the Foundations room. And Jimmy heard this band playing Zeppelin. And he was like, who is that? And Chris really didn't know. He's known Jimmy. He's known, everybody. Robert. He's known everybody for a long time. And Jimmy's even asked him for, when they did the reunion, this is a true story. They called him about, you have some bootlegs that we can look at from back in the day. Wow. This guy has an amazing collection of bootlegs, right? And he told me a story. They were just hanging out and Joe Perry, because they had done a photo session with Ross Halfin. And they're hanging at the Foundations room, and he heard this and said, well, I want to go check them out. And they did. And Jimmy was really, he's a cool guy. I've hung out with him, I've met him. He's nothing but a gentleman, with a wicked sense of humor. Soft-spoken gentleman with a wicked sense of humor. And he said, after the gig, he's like, I'd like to say hello to them. I thought they did a really good job.
Wow.
And that's, yeah.
And so now let's get into Westbound, you guys. How long has this band been together? And you got one album out, correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How long has Westbound been together? And you've got one album.
Right, one album. I got the deal, and the record came out in 2019. Obviously, I got the deal a couple of years prior to that. And Roy Z and I were working together, and that's how it all came. This president of Frontiers Music came to me and said, I'd like to do something just with you, because I had done Resurrection Kings. I'd done a record with Vinny Appice and Craig Goldie, Sean McNabb, and he sent me a private email and said, I'm in love with your voice. I want to do something just with you. I love your ideas. And so that's how it came about. And he said, I'd like to have a producer, co-writer to work with. So I said, how about Roy Z? Because we had worked together before in Tribe of Gypsies, and I knew him when he was playing with Bruce. That's when I met him. Yeah. So Bruce Dickinson. So anyway, so they said, absolutely. They were all for it. So we got together first and started writing. I brought in my bro, Dave Chili Moreno, the drummer, who I've known 30 years, since we were kids in local bands. We've been brothers, So, and we started writing, and then it developed further. And I was like, because the one thing about Frontiers is they have a lot of bands that they're just more like projects. These guys never become real bands. They hardly ever do if they do any shows, it's amazing. They never really tour, very few. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't want that. I want a real band. This is my opportunity to have my own vehicle, because I've been a hired singer for so many bands, right? Sure. Starting with Bonham, the Jason Bonham band. So that's how everything started. And then I brought in Jimmy. I brought in Jason Cornwell, on bass. And the latest member, T-Bone Anderson, Torbjorn Anderson, we call it T-Bone. Yeah. He's a Swedish. So he's the keyboard player. So I brought them in as a touring band, and we started in 2019 and started doing a bunch of shows. And then we had bigger things that were going to happen in 2020. And we know what happened. Everything got shut down. Sure. We were supposed to start in April of 2020, right? Yeah. And so when we started up again, we were able to do like 2 streaming shows, both 2020 and 2021. And then 2022, we started up again. And it was like starting all over again, Sure. And thankfully, I had the record out at least. But that was a couple years prior, So, little by little, we're getting things moving again. And now, of course, there's a new, record. It's a new label, called Legendary Artists, based out of Nashville, Tennessee. We just shot the video for this first single, Don't Stand in My Sunshine, in Nashville. Beautiful. They put us on an 8-acre estate. It was amazing. Yeah, we have a man-made lake and a waterfall. And right, Jimmy? It was amazing.
Beautiful.
Barn. Yeah. And it really
good setting.
Oh, absolutely. And the whole, it really fit the scene of the, the whole area. It fit the song as far as, that kind of bluesy,
that's exactly what it's right. Bluesy kind of rock.
Right. Exactly. Like it was being done at Headley Grange, right? In England, right? But, it's Nashville and it's cool. So it even has a little bit, dare I say, a bit of country-ish to it, but modern, obviously.
Sure. So. And let me ask you, Chaz, in regards to the new single, are you guys working towards a full length, an EP? Are you releasing like a lot of bands, a song at a time, and maybe when you get some more tunes, you'll put it all out?
No, we're working on a full record right now. In fact, Jimmy and I were writing a song as of yesterday. So, that probably won't be out till sometime next year. In the meantime, we'll continue to release a couple of more singles, at least, at least 1 or 2 more with videos to accompany them. to get, to basically keep people pumped up, like I said, it's been starting all over again. And letting people know, because so many bands, went by the wayside.
Oh, sure.
The shutdown, letting them know we're still around, we're still out. We got some shows starting in the fall again. Yeah. We did a few, and, that the band is still to keep the momentum going, and this is the way it's done these days with the singles.
I dig that, because for the simple fact, like you said, the album's been out a while now. So,
right.
Everything got shut down for a while, and we're back to the old way of doing things, thank God. But so people kind of forgot about that. And I dig the fact that you're like, okay, and instead of just releasing, another video, another single off the album, we're going to release a little something new for you guys,
Right. Exactly. That's what I figured. Yeah. I did the 3-single release with Frontiers on the first record. We did that. We went out, like I said, hey man, 2020 would have been amazing if, the pandemic lockdown hadn't happened, because there was so many big plans. We had a bigger agent, and then all of a sudden, everything stopped.
So was Frontiers no longer interested in working with you guys, or was it just a matter of you got a better deal? And
exactly, got a better deal. So I declined their option and decided to go with I've known these people that run this label for many years, so they're friends also.
I mean, you're so right, because I love a lot of the stuff Frontiers has released, but like you see what they've done with other artists, like same thing with Stephen Pearcy. His last couple of solo albums were really, sold a lot, but didn't seem like they really, from what I understand, helped promote it. And then you have stuff like there's a band, George Lynch and Michael Sweet. They've been able to release like 3 albums of that. But again, like you said, no touring or anything kind of behind that,
Correct. They don't they don't do any tour support, really. They do a little promotion, the publicity for like 2 months, and then that's about it. But look, I'll always be grateful to them.
Oh, sure.
Because they gave me the opportunity, Serafino, particularly Serafino Perugino, because he gave me the opportunity to have my own vehicle, to do my own thing, and not just be a hired singer for another band, another, big name band, I mean, where was it going to go next? Unless Eddie Van Halen, and he's gone now, unless Joe Perry, I mean, what am I going to, Jimmy, has been talking about doing something for years, Pagey, but, nothing's happened since.
I think it's great to have that gratitude, that kind of
right.
And on the flip side, you got to also look at what's in the best interest of you and your band, because like even the one album, it's loaded. It's like it should have been I don't know, more exposure is what I'm saying, but it's great stuff. And it'd be a shame to put out like another killer album and kind of have it just fall by the wayside,
That's what I was thinking, and these people are really behind us. We're actually the first band that they're signed to this new label that they formed. So that's really a
accomplishment, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy, what's that been like for you, writing the new tunes with Chaz, getting ready for what's next?
What's it been like?
You guys feel like you're progressing? Like, is there an attitude, okay, we're going to do more of what we did before, we're going to just kind of get in the studio and see what comes out?
I think it's even more freedom now, actually, than the first one, because we can kind of do more what's in our souls and what we're feeling, And I've been playing with him long enough now. It's natural. So throw him some riffs, and he listens to it. He likes it or he doesn't, and we progress from there. It's all good.
Absolutely.
And obviously, if anybody's like expecting this stuff to sound like a Led Zeppelin clone, that's not. I can honestly say. Like in the new single, Don't Stand in My Shade, like you said, it's more.
Don't Stand in My Sunshine.
Excuse me. Don't stand in my sunshine.
Don't stand in my sunshine. Yeah.
But it's more like a rocky blues feel. Like, I mean, what's interesting about Westbound, like I was listening to another video of yours, a Dance of Life, which is much more of a rock anthem type of thing. So very much like Led Zeppelin, I get the influence. You guys are capable of doing more than one type of song. There's kind of different shades of Westbound.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's kind of like taking and the great thing is that's why I knew Jimmy was the right guy, because we had the same influences. We talked. I wanted to know who was he influenced by, who he loved, get to know him as a person and as an artist, as a musician.
Right.
And it turned out we were all on the same page. Jason Cornwell the same way. And Dave Chili Moreno, who I've I've known for 30 years, you know. And Roy Z, who, you know, worked on the first record, produced it and co-wrote almost all of it with me. He also, and he's still involved, you know, as a co-writer, producer, but I knew we were all on the same page, and that was really important. And you can take all these influences, and I kind of compare it to the analogy of throwing it all in a blender, mixing it all up, you know, and then putting yourself into it, you know. So
yeah, and so like you're working on new material. I was curious, are you kind of doing the old school way, like when you're in the studio, let's work on one, you know, on maybe 5 or 6 tunes at a time, or do you really work on one song for a while and kind of just
usually work on one? I mean, like I can use, well, Don't Stand in My Sunshine. That was Roy Z and I wrote that in the studio. Actually, we were watching a movie, and then that's how we came up with the idea. But like, if I go back to the first record, Dance of Life, that song we wrote probably within 30 minutes. The basis of it, obviously, later on you go back and change some things, but the basis of that song, music, melody, some lyrics, some of them were scratched, some of them we kept, you know, it was about 30 minutes to an hour. So, you know, sometimes it goes quickly, other times it takes longer, and you have to toil over it. You know, being a lyricist, I don't like throwaway lyrics. I want them to mean something. And it's important to me. Even if, you know, I mean, I could get away with that. I'm like, no, it's gotta come from the heart and soul, and it's gotta mean something. And sometimes it just comes out, no problem, onto the paper, or other times you have to, what I call, toil over it, and you know, you pace and it could take hours, you know, but that's important to me, because to get it across to the listener what I meant, which might necessarily not what they get from it. Sometimes, you know, they can completely get a different, you know, type of you know, feeling and the way they thought what I meant, and that's fine, because it's not supposed to be interpreted just in one way, right? You know, music can be interpreted in millions of ways, whatever is personal to the listener. So I'm okay with that. People like ask me, "Oh, did that?" I'm like, no, but that's cool that you thought of that. No, that's not what I was thinking of when I wrote these lyrics, but I like that, and if it helped you with whatever situation you were going through in life, then that's even better.
Sure. I mean, you know, being that you're the guy who writes the lyrics, you're almost like a poet. So I could see why it's so important to you to get your message across there. Because that's honestly, when I listen to a song for the first time, I'm trying to get the meaning. Okay, what's the story they're trying to tell? And again, sometimes I get my own maybe interpretation,
which is great. I love that.
But that's the thing is, and I think if you look at any songs, like any classic rock, you look at stuff like the Eagles, Rod Stewart, you know, even Led Zeppelin, any band worth their salt, the stuff we've been hearing on the radio for the last 40 or 50 years, that's because they took the time with the songwriting. The songwriting was really strong, you know.
Correct. They put the time and effort into it. Yeah. And they didn't just throw away lyrics and whatever. I mean, that happened. I heard stories like, you know, the label was bothering them for one more song, and they're already moving to another label, so they just here you go. But most of the time, the songs that stood out, you know, like I said, I pay attention to the lyrics and the words and melodies. You know, they that's why they stuck with you, because it meant something, and you hit the nail on the head about. We're talking 40, 50 years now. You know, that's why they've stood the test of time.
Yeah, and those are the ones that really, I mean, I could list a whole bunch of people, you know, the Eagles, Bob Dylan. Right. I mean, you go down the list.
Oh, Rolling Stones, you know, even the Beatles holds up to this day, especially the late stuff, you know. I love like Abbey Road and all that stuff. Let It Be, Sgt. Pepper. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, these are masterpieces, you know. It's just like, I'm sorry, what was that?
Talking about the Beatles, I got to say this. Anybody that's listening to this may laugh when I tell them this, but Helter Skelter is not a Motley Crue song. That's about as metal as the Beatles.
Oh, I know. It's like, Nicky was very smart man, was a huge Beatles fan, and that's why he knew this would work. And McCartney even gave him a credit. I mean, even gave him a compliment on it, you know,
that's which pretty cool.
Way cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as the new video, are you guys in the process of editing it? Do you have any idea when it will be coming out?
It's being edited right now by the videographer who did it in Nashville. I would say it should be available by next month.
Wow.
sometime, maybe middle to the end of August, somewhere around there, before Labor Day, hopefully,
Yeah, we got a lot of good footage.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of good footage. But at least, the song is available right now on all digital platforms, Spotify, Apple, all of them. So, I hope people check that out, and there'll be more coming in the next months, throughout the year.
Yeah.
So,
and I think a cool test of how good this song is like when your publicist sent me a press release on the new single, I immediately went to YouTube trying to see if there's a video or anything for it. And of course, there's like a teaser, a little clip. But to me, even the teaser, like it leaves you wanting more. Like, hey, I can't wait to hear the whole thing.
Right. Well, that's cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Good.
So, mission accomplished there. So, well, it was a pleasure getting to know you guys. Once the video comes out, I'd love to do a follow-up interview down the line, or anytime you have something.
That would be great. We would love that.
Yeah,
absolutely, my friend. Definitely.
So, Chaz and Jimmy, thanks for doing this today. This, like I said, will be going up next week. I'll let you guys know. Feel free to post on all your sites, whatever you want to do. That's what we're all about, is spreading the love.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Agreed,
Thank
man.
you.
Spread the love. Love, peace, and love. All right,
Take care,
man.
guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Take care. Rock on.
Rock on.
Yeah.